like that?
No, I don't mind it.
I
remember you consciously changing it though.
This is how fucked up people are. Because I had a tweet from somebody going, "Stop forcing your religious views on fighters." Yeah, no bullshit. Don't force your religious view on a fighter by saying "God bless." You fucking moron. Because I said "God bless" to the guys before. I can't remember where I changed it. It's been over a year now.
Yeah, but I remember you saying to me, like you said that you consciously changed it.
Purposely.
What were you saying before? Have it.
No, Dan. No, I used to.
Listen.
I used to say, "Let's do it," or just say blah 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 blah. Yeah, listen. If you want to touch gloves, do it now. Let's do it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just changed it up a little bit.
Any reason why though? You just
I can't. Is this recording?
I think so. We're recording.
This is not the podcast, though, is it?
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, is it?
We're in.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I changed. I tell you when I changed it. It was this year. I changed it. Pretty sure it was this year.
Yeah.
After.
So why are you forcing your religious beliefs on us?
Yeah. God bless you, forcing the religious. It's. Yeah, I think I changed it after March because, like, going back to this, it's been 7 months since we sat down, and
it's been a while.
It's mad, isn't it? Crazy, and obviously a lot of people were asking us to do it again.
Yeah.
But 7 months, and after the last time we recorded in March, I said, look, I'm just gonna let the thingy go away for a little bit and find out if I want to do it again.
Mm-hmm. So why did you change your mind?
What do you mean?
Why are you back here?
Oh no, I always knew we'd be back.
Why are you back here on the sofa? What have you got to talk to me about?
Talk about.
I do
problems.
feel a bit like a doctor sitting in this chair compared to you in that.
It was because we said in March, didn't we, that I said that I'm just gonna let it go because the whole I was saying before, I got a lot of criticism, after the fight in Vegas in March. And it was, I'm a big ugly fucker. I can take it, but I felt a bit hard done by. You know what I mean? I was just like, I didn't enjoy that particular time, and I had my time again. I would do things differently because that's the way I am. Reflective on it. But I was thinking, because it's the same thing in it. People say to referees, "Oh, he wants the camera. He's this. He's that." Fuck it. Look. I'm 6'3". I'm 240 £. I'm dressed in black. I'm on the camera. Yeah. I can't not be on the camera, And
it does amaze me though how well you blend into the background. Like I do
try.
notice occasionally.
I try.
I notice that I don't notice you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I was watching the
it's
fight
like
the other day.
People
I'm
think
like,
I'm doing like.
I forgot he was.
People think he wants the camera like when the guys are fighting. I'm doing the fucking Cossack dance across. You know what I mean?
Just in the background, just flexing, just.
Like double biceps and stuff, or like doing. You know what I mean? Like looking out. It just, mate, that whole thing got to me, and it got to me. It did. It did.
Yeah.
And I can't. And then it was. I was just questioning it, thinking, people say about referees, you shouldn't be this, that, and it's, you do your job, you want the camera. I intervene and deal, because I referee in a specific way, it's like everybody says, these fouls, they go unchecked, etc., etc. So if I see something or do something, I want the camera. I make myself accessible, I want the camera. A referee explains his fouls, he wants the you cannot literally win. And one of the best tweets I had over those few months was there's a guy saying that if you stopped an asteroid hitting Earth, people would complain, or they'd say you fucking stopped it early, one of the two. You know what I mean? You stopped it too soon. It was going to miss us, you dickhead. And you stopped it, but it just, that whole thing, and then I saw, is it Gary Vaynerchuk? He's been on Joe Rogan's podcast a few times.
Okay,
I think he's
Vaynerchuk.
It's Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm not, forgive my ignorance, I'm not exactly sure what he's prominent for.
I only watch the UFC Rogan podcasts.
Yeah, I think he's a successful businessman, or he's a public speaker and stuff now. So forgive me, Gary, I'm not, but I saw a bit of your content and I like, so, and he kind of struck a chord with me, and he's saying, about one of the biggest mistakes is people are fearful of putting out their own, speaking their mind or putting out their own content because they're fearful of what somebody might say. Not only just somebody might say, but somebody who really fucking does not matter one iota. Whether it's 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the line, it doesn't matter. Don't be. And I am who I am, and I've reffed the same I've been around for 20 years, so you better fucking get used to it, because I'm going to be around for another 20, and I'm not going to change the approach that I know helped me get to where I've got to. I am going to be accessible, and if you think that means I want the camera, well, you're going to have to fucking live with it. I'm sorry.
Don't you think it's important though? I was having this conversation.
I don't know, Dan, because
I think it's important. I was having this conversation with RJ on Sirius the other night, and we were talking about the one of the fights that was judged at the weekend, the Luke Jamo fight, and that was a split decision. And Alex Davis is pushing for it to be turned into a unanimous.
Yeah, with Douglas Lima.
Yes, yeah. So one of the judges scored it for Jamo, and
sorry, did I say that right? Diego,
yes.
Douglas. Diego's with Bellator.
Yes.
I'll double check that.
Yeah, innit?
Anyway, one of the Limas. Yeah. It's funny because I went to the dressing room before, and obviously their hair's a little bit different now, but they look like twins.
Yeah.
And I started talking, and he went, "My brother's with it," and I went, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry," because I hadn't reffed either of them before.
Right.
But I didn't. I figured, like, of course, the two of them, they're going to be with each other.
Yeah.
But they got. I know there was a bit of.
It was a split decision, and Alex Davis is pushing for it to be a unanimous. And it just kind of got us onto a conversation about the judges and about the fact that the judges can judge, and we never hear from them again after the fight. And I was saying that, I think it's important that officials do have a platform to speak out, and I think that if judges are putting themselves in a place to judge, they should also be in a place to be judged as well. Like, if they put a decision out that a lot of people disagree with, a lot of people saw it the opposite way. I mean, call it an opportunity. They should have an opportunity to explain themselves. And I think that the referees should have the same thing without it being a want fame and the limelight and all that kind of nonsense.
This is the thing, Dan. It's like, I don't know if you saw yesterday, but I'd done some like little short videos on Twitter. I was explaining some things to people, and the feedback, and it's been tremendous, monumental. But from a personal perspective, it affected me a lot. It kind of changed the way I view things when we last sat down and spoke, because it was in March. It was just after I'd reffed the
Cage Warriors in Denmark, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But it was the week after I'd reffed the Woodley and Usman fight, where I got.
Where you stood, you separated them.
And I had to, felt like I was like backed in a corner. I explained specific things, etc., etc. I went through all that and said, and then I kind of just. That's when I said to you, we decided at that point, I went, you know what, I'm just going to leave it for 6 weeks, 2 months. It turned out to be 7 months, because of just cracking on. I've been doing my thing since then. But it's like, look, I can't change that, people are probably fucking out, we're sitting here explaining it again. Like I said, I've been doing it for 20 years. And if you don't like it, sorry, I can't do nothing about that. You better get used to it, because... you either want somebody to give an explanation to see me for who I am. The fact that if I'm giving my time to explain things, particularly, obviously, what I don't particularly like explaining what other officials have done, but if I'm explaining something that I've done, this is my passion. I've been doing this before the cameras were on me, so believe me, I don't need the camera. Like I said, 6'3", 240 pound dressed in back. The cameras are all over me. I don't need to, like I said before, it's like justification. If I'm speaking in a fight, trust me, it's because something happened. When the guys I don't lean in there and go, "How you doing, guys? Did you see the fucking weather outside?" If I ever articulate in a fight, it's just because I'm doing my job and I want to do it well. People either want to see a referee step in and do what he's supposed to do, and articulate and explain to the fighters, without being accused of wanting to, make it. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. How has it been since the last time we spoke? I mean, that you've not had any decisions that have been classed as controversial, or anything like that since then, have we? I mean,
I've had a fantastic year.
Yeah.
And continue to be blessed with the opportunities. I've had very high profile fights this year. Well, I'll do what I always do and give it my all. I'm thankful to the people who make that happen, and I'm thankful, mate. I'm just obviously just came back from Australia. Big fight. I had Khabib's fight with Poirier.
Yeah. What a fight.
Or Habib's fight with Poirier in Abu Dhabi. I had the Cejudo and Moraes fight. I've had umpteen opportunities this year, and that's what it is, especially in our role. Your words are one thing, actions are another, and like I said, it doesn't matter what I do, because you can't please everybody, and especially as a referee. But it's kind of, I think we explained this the last time, the weird thing is most people's interaction with me or their view on me is when I'm in character. So it's like they will see me and hear me when I'm being a referee.
Yeah, when you're in an authoritative
exactly
position.
Doing my job.
Yeah.
It's like the amount of people I've met outside and they're like, "Oh, you're just a normal bloke."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, I tried to be, but look,
you only speak to the Raptors like that, like outside of the octagon, don't you?
What's that?
Fighters inside the octagon get that treatment, and the Raptors outside, everybody else gets normal treatment outside the octagon.
He's in constant view. He's in constant view. He's sitting here off camera laughing. But we had like in July and stuff. Yeah, look, man. You know what, man? This is a sorry thing, because I'm sitting here talking and answering you and explaining something, but still conscious of somebody's going to go, well, why is he talking about that? Or he's... I don't know.
Tell me about the Khabib fight. Tell me about, because I remember standing in the octagon at those moments, like when I'm standing there across from GSP, and there's that surreal moment where I realise that this is the occasion, this is the moment, and I'm right in it. Do you have those moments where you stand in the octagon and you're like, right, you got Poirier in one corner and Khabib in the other, and this arena's been built for this event? And do you have those moments where you're like, oh, this is the moment. I'm in this moment right now. Yeah. Are you present? Are you able to be present in those moments?
Yeah, but I'm present in my own specific way.
Right.
Because I have a sense of occasion, and I'm mentally aroused because I have to be. Because what's so funny about that? It's like two kids. Oh, he said dick. You know what I mean? Like the kids in the classroom.
It's mystery's word of the day.
I said mentally aroused. It's like the Ricky Gervais, not sexual. He's going into that bar. Quite excited, really. Not sexual. Yeah, of course, I'm mentally aroused.
Yeah.
And that's the correct terminology, because I have to be. If I stood there without... nerves kind of, I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know. It's kind of felt the same as when I was fighting. It's like, you get that, it's a very individual specific feeling that, you get an appreciation for what's happening.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But even now, obviously last week was a big thing.
That was ridiculous.
Obviously in Adelaide, and all the fights, me, and that I've explained that before, that even if I'm reffing a first time amateur, I may not be in as much of an aroused state, as much of an aroused state mentally. Yeah. Because that's, I'd be lying if I said I was. Yeah. But you're not getting any less of me. I'm still in the same. I go into the tunnel vision. Yeah. My own space in my mind of when I'm refereeing, because I block everything out, but I'm still listening, if you know what I mean.
So. Yeah, well, we talked about it off camera, but I want to talk about it again in a bit more depth, because there were two moments in the fight that stood out as standout moments as a referee, like moments where other referees maybe would have failed, would have not been there, wouldn't have been present. The moment right at the end of the first round where that last punch dropped Whittaker.
You're talking about last week?
Yes, and then the finish of the fight where, as you see Whittaker go down, you realise that he's turning away from you. That's a difficult moment to be in as a fighter. A lot of the time, and where were they training this of the week? They were training knockdown drills, where you'll be doing pads and you'll land one shot and the pad man will go down, and you've got to take a second, before you pick your next shot to like kind of finish like the finishing shot, the best shot. Like that must be difficult as a referee as well when you see a fighter go down and you're like, it must have taken you a few years to develop that. Let me get in the right position so I can see this fighter.
Yeah,
like you ran around Izzy so you could see Whittaker's face in that moment.
Yeah.
Did it take a while to like consciously develop that reaction?
Yeah, kind of, but I didn't consciously do it because those are the things as a referee that I can't teach you awareness. I can't teach you footwork. I can teach you the rules and regulations, what's right and what's wrong, but I can't teach you spatial awareness and, there's certain things you can't teach an individual, the way in which and obviously you'll do things individually, but just it's instinctive. Obviously I want to try and get the best vantage point. And then going back to that, it's nice you picked up on that because at the end of that first round, it's the mechanics of the referee. When you hear the 10 seconds, lots of people they thought I'd stop the fight because they didn't hear the bell because the place went. I had the same thing before.
Yeah. Nick and I were talking about Nick, Pete and I, because we both jumped up when the punch landed and we didn't hear the horn either.
Then you'll hear me say, it's end of the round, and you'll see me stand over Whittaker and I'm glaring right at him because at that point I know he's hurt. One more second in that fight, the punch would have landed, over. No question, that punch would have sent him out.
Yeah.
Out of the competition. So I need to see him make it to his feet under his own steam, and he did make it to his feet quite sharply too. But I know mentally he was very dazed and bewildered because it was a peach of a shot that put him down. But obviously from my perspective, that 10-second clock is going down. When I hear the 10-second clapper, then I'll begin a step countdown in my mind. And you'll see me move closer because in an instance like I can't be 10 steps back. If I was one step back, and in that particular instance, you see Izzy cock his right hand, that punch would have landed, and we'd have had a very different scenario towards the end of that fight because it would have been after the bell. But that I can't always blame that on the fighter. Yeah. That's why mechanically I need to be in the right place to get across and intervene when I know it's time.
That's a good point. I mean, if he had stepped in and landed that extra shot, I mean, the question, whether Izzy would have thrown it or not, it looked like he stepped over ready to, and he
was cocked and ready
as well. Yeah,
you'll see him saying the post fight, it's me that's intervening. And that's the difference. And he showed good control and restraint because there's two things mechanically for a referee. Is one, I'll do a physical intervention. You don't always need it because a lot of the time the round will end when the guys are on their feet. They hear the bell, boom, and they stop. But in a scenario like that, he gets knocked down, and Izzy instinctively goes into finish as he correctly should. It's my job to make sure that I can physically stop that fight, not verbally. How am I going to expect a guy in the eye of the storm, in the heat of that second, with 50,000 people in attendance, and that's not his job. No. That's my job. So you'll need a physical intervention. And if you'd have thought, I probably would have got punched in the back of the head. A few people might like that, but
we watched the fight the other day. Actually, it was quite funny because we've got a new show that's coming up on the channel called Remember That Fight, and so where we just sit and watch a couple of old fights and we talk through. And we gone through some of my old fights from Japan. So two of my fights in Cage Force. My second one where I got disqualified, and called Ian Dean at Cage Warriors and demanded he get me on Cage Warriors the following week. And I fought Manuel Garcia, and you refereed me. And in the flurry, because he tapped to strikes, and I hate when people tap to strikes. So in that flurry to finish as he's tapping, you jumped in the way, and I punched you full power in the leg. And then not that full power is much to you, you'd be fine. But there's a point where, like, after the fight, I step up and I'm like walking around celebrating. Then I walk back to you, and you come over to me, and you're like, you punched me in the fucking leg.
I remember the fight, but I don't remember. But this is the thing. It's not.
What's the hardest shot you've taken intervening and stopping a fight? Can you remember?
You know,
is there someone that's cracked you and you've been like, oh.
Maybe like the forearm or whatever. But I'd like, obviously mechanically, you see some referees, and this is what really gets to me. Like the mechanics of everything. I see some refs, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? They're like, they're diving across when they don't need to. They inflict more damage to a fighter, getting him off. It's just they're fucking rugby tackling the guy. All of these kind of things.
Yeah.
And it's a real bugbear of mine. The mechanics of all I need to do is stop you or another taking the shot I don't want them to.
Yeah.
That's all I need to do. And, you know, you'll see some referees that get right up super, super close, and all they need to do is just stop, put the hand across. But it's like they're trying to fucking dive through the fence. And they make such a balls up of it, and it looks shit, and it looks, you know, and again, we can teach mechanics. That's something that can be taught to a referee. You know, I can say, look, don't be so forceful there. Get yourself in the right position. Step across.
Yeah.
You've got your verbal, you've got your physical barrier. Step across. You don't need to, you know, it's not an action movie. You don't need to, like, you're diving off the top of a car to bring him down.
Yeah, I've got an old DVD somewhere, and it's like Gladiator Challenge or one of the early King of the Cages. And as this referee, this big Juicehead referee, as he jumps in to save this fighter, he knees him clean in the face on the floor. And this fighter's already out. He's already unconscious. And as this referee dives in, he's like, full clean knee in the face. Bad. Really bad. You can teach awareness though, right? As we were talking about running around on the front side. You could, like, do referees
awareness.
come to you though?
That's not awareness.
No?
I'll tell you what awareness is the mental side of recognizing the end is nigh.
Okay.
I'm putting that.
Don't be pushing your religious views on me, Mark.
Yeah. That sounded a bit. The end is nigh. Okay, sorry. The end is near. The mechanics to me is your physical movements.
Yeah.
Okay. Awareness, you got it or you haven't. You know, awareness is recognizing that somebody's hurt. Like, we'll go back to the Whittaker fight, for instance. Obviously, in the back of my mind, subliminal, we know that he was down and he had 1 foot out the door at the end of that round. But it was rightly allowed to continue. You know, stepped across and made sure Izzy didn't land a shot, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll see him, the way he goes down in the second. That's when I move, because that's what you're saying. As I move in, I'm going to get the best vantage. I don't need to see Izzy. I don't need to see nothing of him.
No.
All eyes on Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
I need to see his face.
Yeah.
I need to see his reaction to the shot.
Because there's like a backtrack run as he's trying to get his balance back, and then he lands, and then he turns to his right.
Yes.
And you're this side of him.
And Izzy's coming in from the other side.
Yeah.
And this is all processing. So what you'll see me run, then I'll just sidestep out the way. I think for a big dude, I can move all right sometimes.
Like a cat, Mark.
Yeah.
Like a big cat.
I get in there. Big
Faster than T-Rex.
Yeah. Just don't let me get hold of you. And then I move around because I need to see Robert's reaction.
Yeah.
And then he's already at 6s and 7s as he goes down. But what?
Is that a very British thing?
It's like a dad thing, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all 6s and 7s. It sounds like it's Austin Powers, isn't it? He says
yeah.
It's all 6s
very
and
British.
7s.
We need a cup of tea here and China cups and
Yeah,
stuff. So I need to see Robert's face. And I get to do that because obviously you'll see me all shimmy to the left. And I see Robert turn, little sidestep. I had the same thing with the Holly Holm. It's the exact same thing. Head kick goes down. I'm right where I need to be. And I know I'm going to give him a chance, because if they suddenly turn in, it could have a different outcome. So I have to allow Izzy to land. I think there was 2 shots on the follow-up. I have to allow that to play out. And then when I see Robert's reaction to the first one, that's what seals the deal. And then I make the call, you know. And it was an amazing fight, you know. And Israel, I think, you know, a star is born, definitely.
Right. Do you as the fight's going on, as the fight's playing out, do you start shifting your awareness to the fighter you feel is taking more shots, more damage, the one that's more vulnerable?
Yeah, my focus is on him.
So at what point in the fight did you start feeling like Whittaker was the one that was taking more shots?
The beginning of the second round.
Really? Because
obviously the first round, and all the judges, they were all, because it was pretty clear, I think they'd give, you know, 10-9 because the quality in their of shots to, I think Robert was edging ahead in the first round. And then, of course, all she wrote, boom, one shot changes the whole swing of the round. And all the judges rightfully went to Adesanya.
Yeah.
It was, you know, clear as day. It was the most impactful and significant strike of that round. Put him down. So obviously I'm now processing, okay, you have taken damage on board. That's why I need to see him get up. And then I'm looking at him at the start of the second round. So yeah, there is a shift to the person who you see is hurt, but one punch can change it, because he could have came. Look at Izzy's fight with Kelvin Gastelum. Back, forth. Fifth round, Izzy took over, put the foot on the gas, and it was one-way traffic.
Yep.
But sometimes you'll shift your focus. And yes, I was looking closely and intently at Robert at the start of that second round for sure. I wanted to see how much he had recovered.
And this is something else I was thinking as I was watching it, because sometimes, especially with a fighter like Adesanya, I'll go back and I'll watch the fight. So we did an open mat for BT Sport right after the event. So I wanted to make sure I'd seen everything. So I watched it back a couple of times, watched it through slow motion. So I can really kind of see where Adesanya is getting clipped and how close he is to getting out the way of these shots. And it seemed a lot to me in the first round like there were shots that would have been scored by judges that didn't really land very clean. I always felt the same with Robbie Lawler. You know, the way that Lawler uses that Philly shell, and a lot of the shots that look like they're hitting him are just kind of rolling off his front shoulder and the side of his head. Like, there must be a lot that you see being so close to the action when it comes to a fighter like Adesanya that the judges don't even see being a few feet away, because of the minute fractions that he's getting out the way of those shots.
Yeah, you're right. But again, that's why there's 3 judges in 3 different vantage points. Not everyone's going to see the same thing. Not always. Sometimes they do. It's blatantly apparent. But in a close round, and that wasn't super close, that first round. Obviously, the swing and the significance, clearly by any stretch of the imagination, put it towards Israel Adesanya without doubt, and rightfully so. But yeah, that, like I said, that's what we teach on the seminars, why the importance of 3 judges, because you could have one, that's why you'll get a split decision. You could have one judge, you could have a 5-round fight. Okay, look, GSP, Johnny Hendricks, for example, very controversial at the time, It was a 5-round fight, there's 3 judges, there's 15 possible scores. 14 of those 15 scores were identical. It was one judge in the first round who gave the swing to Johnny. Why did he give it? Because you see him drop the series of elbows up against the fence. When you look back at the replay, who's the judge sat right beneath listening to those shots land? Glenn Trowbridge. And that's why, and you can understand that, it was a fair assessment. It was his reason for giving that round. But of course, that fight went on, and for the rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5, all 3 judges scored every round the same, identical.
So do you think it changes it if the judges say so we've got the 3 judges that sit octagon side as normal, they continue judging. But then if we took 3 judges and have them watch the camera feed that all the other fans watch with no head.
Don't start, Dan Hardy.
I'm just wondering how, because the thing is, it's a conversation that continually comes up, but no one seems to be making any progress with it.
What progress?
Well, I don't know. It seems to me like the scoring is far more speculative than it should be. Like, depending on a judge's background. If they're a gi jiu-jitsu player, if they're a wrestler, if they're a boxer. Like, I was scored in a fight by 3 boxing judges who didn't score any of my takedowns, any of my sub attempts, anything like that.
I agree with you.
And that's quite a clear thing. But we're still in a place where we've got specialist judges that are not specialists in MMA, specialists in different traditional martial arts or, boxing or whatever. Go on. You don't have to put your hand up. No, it's all right. You don't have to put your hand up. Yes.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. What have I said? You've been on my seminars. It's about evolution. And here's what I will point out. In the Israel Adesanya fight, what about this? In the Khabib and Poirier fight and the Israel and Adesanya fight, both mega high profile world championship fights, in both cases, all 3 judges were British. And the guys who were, and let me tell you, sorry, what are you going to say?
No, I can bank on those guys. I did say that in commentary.
I take those guys everywhere.
Yeah.
The guys that judged, Ben Cartledge, Paul, Collette, Leatherby, those guys, I would take them anywhere. And I do. When I go travel to other shows and I bring in my own commission, Goddard MMA, when I bring them in, I have full trust. And obviously, loads of guys in the US, but there's magnificent judges out there. There is. But with certain shows in certain places of the world, yes, there is that element of a guy who's sat in the judge's chair, and they shouldn't be sat there because they don't know what they're doing. They may think they know what they're doing, but they've never undergone any form of formal training. you know. And like you said, this is the evolution of the sport. We still have wrestlers, boxers, jiu-jitsu guys. Just as fighters evolve, like we said with IMAF, just as fighters evolve, and you see young kids now, they come through. They're not specific, you know, karatekas, judokas, boxers. They're learning MMA from day one. That's the same with the officials. The judges are learning MMA, and they're in tune to MMA and what it should take and what it should do with regards to selection and scoring with the right criteria.
Something that's different about the UK judges that you were talking about, and I'm a big fan of those guys. I feel like they do a consistently good job. And I think one of the reasons for that is the amount of times I see them in the hotel bar after the event. They're all sat around a table having a conversation about the fight card. I'd love it. I love to see that.
We're all together. Yeah. Same as what, you know, when I go to the US a lot, the guys like Sal D'Amato, Chris Lee, Derek Cleary, you know, these guys that keep cropping up everywhere, they crop up for a reason because they're world class at what they do, and they are entrenched in what they do as well. You know, I think Sal D'Amato is probably the most experienced judge in the world right now. I think he is. If you go to MMAdecisions.com, you'll see he's judged more, especially high caliber, and he's a great bloke. You know, that's the thing. That's what we do. Like you said, you'll see us together, and like, you know, it can be a bit boring because you're like, it's always about fights. Yeah. On the way to the show, we're talking about fights. At the show, they're judging fights or we're reffing fights. In the bar afterwards, we kind of, you know, the officials group stick together. The T-Rex. I've got my own little raptors.
You have, haven't you? Yeah. Little raptor pack.
I've got my own raptor pack. Yeah, and they'll fuck you up as well.
We're working on them. I'm training them up.
Are they trained?
Oh, we've got the mats down in the other room. You know, the bags are up here all the time.
Well, I won't tell the story of Rome. I won't tell the story of the Raptors versus me and Rome, because it was like the good thing is Jamie stayed back there, but he's jumped on my back like a little tiddly thing. I'm wearing him like a backpack. And we never did get obviously because it's 7 months. Yeah, we never did commit to film James's infamous. It was like the Hicks and Hugo Duarte beach brawl with you're laughing. Maybe I'll save that story for another time, because like the Sandman, like the raise up of the Sandman, it's one of the best things. Yeah. But he tells everybody, you go, I took you down on the sand. You know, were you holding me and I fell over? Absolutely I was. If you want to class that as a takedown, it's more like, you know, when you come down the stairs and your cat's under your feet. It's kind of the similar thing.
Would Sal D'Amato have scored it a takedown?
Fuck no. But he jumped up like Rocky Marciano. It was good for him.
Denied it for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Denied it? You denied it, did you?
No.
No, you. The first time you told me the story is you'd fell over him. That's what you told me.
And that is what happened. This dickhead thinks he took me down.
I don't know.
Can we just turn the camera on? Because he's like, you know, 115 swinging wet. You know what I mean?
He's dust weight. That's what we.
Yeah, dust weight.
We went from cigarette weight to dust weight.
We've got a new category. Yeah, flyweight. You know, like
it's under atom weight. Yeah.
Minimum
atom
weight.
Yeah,
let's leave it. Come on, you took me down. We'll give you that.
Got me back in Vegas.
Did I?
Yeah, he smacked me out of the chair.
Oh, the poltergeist thing. Yeah. But the best thing was when we was in Rome, the guys came over to Rome to cover it. And we were sat eating dinner. We're talking about jiu-jitsu, and he said, like, you know, I said, look, we're going to train. I said, you take your position of choice. He's like, what? I said, on my back. And he was like, yeah, on my back, choke locked in. I said, we'll start from there. And he's like, can I? You know, like a kid eating the dinner. Can I have ice cream after my dinner? He was so excited about the fact that, and I said, yeah, we'll do it. And we did do it on the way back, huh? Jumped on my, like I said, like a little rucksack. He was on my back choking. I said, you ready? He said, yeah. I said, go. Yeah. And then I walked off home.
Yeah. These two, they're always the first ones fighting. It was the same at Body Power. First day there, mats are down. These two are straight away grappling.
I haven't saw you two grapple each other.
No, they're getting better.
No.
They're
Watch after this if you want.
Okay.
Oh, it's on their. That's
never mind that, Dan Hardy.
What?
All the years of knowing you, me and you have never trained.
We never have we? We
never.
No, we should.
Because now, you know, when you do come back,
yeah,
of course, I will not be reffing you.
No, you can be my grappling coach then instead.
I think they'd have a problem with that one. So I'd have to go in the corner with them glasses with the nose and the moustache.
Yeah. What about ref cams? Were you ever a fan of them?
No.
Because that was another thing that came up on that the remember that fight we were watching in Japan. They love a ref cam in Japan.
Did you see yesterday? I tell you what, I put a highlight video. It's anyone who knows it's about Pride. It's a Boondock, the guy who made it's like a seminal. It's like a revered video. You're not seen it. Mm-mm. It's a collection. Oh my god! And the backdrop to it, the music is it Rob Duggan? What's it called? Be like a sentence of death, and it's unbelievable. It's one of the most iconic highlight videos.
Really?
I feel like, hey, get it up, guys. What is it when Rogan says to
Jamie.
Jamie. Well, go, Jamie. If you go to my Facebook, I shared it yesterday. You must have saw this highlight video, and it's just in the heyday of Pride.
Really?
And obviously, there's a lot of ref cam footage there, but it's the ref cam footage for me. It's over-egged. The reason being is because I don't like anything it would be a distraction.
Yeah.
You see them like in Pride, they used to wear like the body packs and stuff. No, fuck that.
Yeah, but that's not necessary
there you
anymore.
Go, Furious Angels.
Hey?
It's
not necessary anymore, that whole backpack thing. You know what I mean? Like cameras are so much smaller now. You could have something clipped onto your shirt. You wouldn't even need to wear any. No, I haven't seen this.
Oh my god, are you joking?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it.
I could let you watch this right now. Honest to God, it's incredible. What it is?
No, look.
God, are you kidding
No, I
me?
haven't seen this.
Oh my god, you get goosebumps. It's the best highlight video in existence.
Would you like to have refereed Pride?
Yeah, I would have done, but obviously I was on the other side of the world and I wasn't always a fan of the soccer kicks.
I was going to ask you that. Have you ever refereed a fight with soccer
I wouldn't.
kicks? You wouldn't, no.
Not now. It's moved on.
Yeah.
Listen, Pride is rightfully so carved in stone.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and it's got its rightful place in history.
Igor Vovchanchin, do you remember him?
Mate.
What a wrecking ball that man was.
This video, though, and please put the link up and let people watch it, because it's the best. It's the most iconic highlight video in MMA for me. It's like goosebumps.
One of my favourite moments in Pride was Igor Vovchanchin against Ensign Inoue.
Yeah.
And you remember Ensign, don't you?
Of course.
Lunatic.
No quit.
Like proper samurai.
No quit.
Like him sat in his corner at the end of the first round. The first round was 10 minutes, wasn't it? Sat in his corner at the end of the first round. Couldn't stand up. Couldn't get to his stool. Nothing. And the doctor and the referee come over and call the fight off, and he's screaming at the top of his voice because he wants to keep fighting. He couldn't even stand up. Couldn't even got back to his corner. He's like, his brother Egan had to come in and get him, and he's like, "No, I want to keep fighting."
Yeah,
Jeez.
Those are the kind of guys. It's like the highest honor to die in combat, isn't it? So,
yeah. And then like Fedor getting suplexed by Randleman as well, and like not even changing his facial expression. And Sakuraba dislocating his collarbone. That's
the final moment of this video.
Is it?
Because it's the most iconic move in Pride, isn't it?
Yeah. Have you seen
Randleman's suplex?
Yeah. It's Kevin Randleman was the monster, wasn't he? That was his nickname. He was just a beast.
But the guys, you got to put the link up because anyway, how did we get onto that?
We're talking about ref cams.
Yeah, and obviously a lot of the footage you'll see in that particular highlight is taken from the ref cam. But yeah, it's not for me. I don't like it. I'm glad the UFC don't do them. I've been in many countries before. They go, "Where's the referee?" They come to me and go, "You put this on." No. They're like, "Yeah, you must put it on." No, I'm not putting it on. It's
motorbike helmet with a GoPro on it.
Yeah,
see it now.
Honestly, I've had it before. Put the glasses on when they're. Fuck off, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not put glasses on, like big, thick rimmed glasses with the cameras on.
So you look like Superman.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Clark Kent.
Yeah. Okay, no.
What about ring? What about refereeing in rings? Do you like MMA in rings?
No.
It changes the fights, doesn't it?
Been there, done that.
Not a fan.
Been there, done that. No.
How does it change the sport?
Because it gets tricky. Obviously, when the guys get close to the ropes, interventions. I mean, people go, "You'll intervene now," but it's like people grabbing the ropes or getting under the ropes. It's just not, like I said, Pride was a huge ring,
Yeah,
one of the biggest rings I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, MMA. No, for now it's in the cage, it's in the octagon, and rightfully so, because it keeps it continual.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we should bring back rope escapes though for some fights.
Remember? Like rings, the rope break thing.
Yeah, it was Pancrase, wasn't it? Bash Rutten used to crawl his way to the ring,
grab the rope,
bottom, and he had to let
up.
go of the submission.
Yeah. No, I'm not a fan of MMA, and because obviously I know that Rising still use the ring, and it's very closely associated with Japanese MMA, and it's their identity, and I get that, But obviously Bellator are doing the co-promotion, aren't they? New Year's Eve, 28th or something.
Yeah, Fedor and
Rampage. But I don't think they've decided yet whether. Obviously Rampage is seminal in Pride history too. He'll have no problem fighting in a ring.
No.
But whether or not, I don't think they've decided yet. Obviously on the rule set, I can't see it being. I think it would be under unified rules. But Bellator they still do it. I would have worked Bellator events in the past, and it was a mixed event. So they'd have kickboxing in the ring, take them out, and then the cage would come from the sky and come down, and then
like that,
and then like that twist, and then it would plug straight into the base. So whether or not they do something like that,
that's interesting.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. So where are you off to next? Cage Warriors this weekend.
Yeah, last week was a grueler.
Yeah, but it was. You had Brave.
What do you call it? What's your man he's hilarious, the guy on Twitter. God, it's escaped me. He's the Welsh guy, the Welsh football fan. He likes a drink. And he's like, it's a gruel. Dan's looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? Some of the people out there will get it.
You had Brave. Was it Brave on Friday
Brave
night?
was in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and then you went straight to
Melbourne.
It's just Cage Warriors this weekend.
Cage Warriors this week, which is cool. But then on Sunday, I'm straight out to Italy. I've got a bit of business out there with IMAF, just checking on some cages and stuff.
Nice.
Next week I'm in Turkey. Week after was Cage Warriors Birmingham, which is incredible.
Lovely for you.
And we've got the EMA. AGM, the English Mixed Martial Arts Association AGM.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had a chat on podcast since then as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Emma's setting up and rolling along.
It seems like
so much,
and it was like I said, it was several months since me and you have sat down and spoke. And then into November, I'll be back where I'll be in Russia. I'll be in Bahrain. I'm back in Vegas. I'll be in...
Is that December, the Vegas one? Are you doing South Korea as well?
Poland, KSW, South Korea.
We're going to roll over to South Korea.
Yeah, there's lots. There's lots. But yeah, this year's been incredible, particularly from March onwards. A lot of big fights, lot of shows, and yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And what are your hopes and dreams for 2020?
World
what do you want
peace.
for Christmas? What's Santa bringing you?
Oh, you know what, mate? Christmas for me is all about Christmas dinner.
Is it? Yeah.
Obviously with the kid. That's my favourite part. But obviously the kids, because I'm having the
ostrich, full fucking ostrich on the table. I imagine.
That's
a big Fred Flintstone drumstick.
Yeah.
I can see you right now with
it. That's put me off.
Christmas dinner.
An ostrich. Yeah, Christmas, because I travel right close up till Christmas, and it doesn't. Look, you could offer me the biggest fight in the world, all the money in China, I would never be away for Christmas. I could not, my kids and obviously Christmas dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
It could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
Superman versus Spider-Man in 200,000 outdoor. I would not miss Christmas and be away from the kids for anything.
Yeah.
And I travel quite close up to, like last year, I think I was home on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
This year it's the same with I think I'm going to be in South Korea.
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet, but if I'm in South Korea, it'll be the same. I'll get home on the 23rd.
Mm-hmm. You never do any of the New Year's Eve shows, do you?
Yeah.
You do, are you doing that?
No, because it's different this year. You see, the UFC, I think their last event, their Vegas event is the 14th.
Yes.
They don't have a New Year show this year.
Oh, do they not?
No, because I think it's all to do with ESPN.
Right.
because now they're on the ESPN platform. There's too many other big, from what my understanding is, I may be wrong, I think there's too many other big sporting events in and around that time.
All right.
So the TV schedule is, I think there's quite a gap. Vegas 14th, the last big pay-per-view, and then it stretches over into January. Well, obviously they've got a fight night, as it were, ESPN in Korea, and then I think it stretches over into January.
So Fedor against Rampage then, New Year's Eve.
I think that's the 28th.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be watching that for sure.
I'll be watching
100%.
Yeah, some good fights on the card this weekend, isn't there? Kron Gracie against Cub Swanson this weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not refereeing. No, you're not refereeing this weekend. No, you're Cage
no,
Warriors.
it's in Florida.
Yeah,
I'll be at Cage Warriors.
What do you reckon to that? Cub Swanson against?
I don't know, because
Kron?
obviously, Kron's still the whole enigma thing, and obviously the last time out he made it look.
Yeah.
He's kind of like one of them guys. Like once he gets to the position he's in, and when he gets you back, chances are it's over. It was Caceres, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Alex Caceres, and Caceres is highly experienced. Good jiu-jitsu as well.
Did you see Kron at the open workouts doing the breathing?
The breathing
exercises?
exercise, yeah, that his father made famous.
Yeah. Have you boys seen Choke? Hicks and Gracie Choke, the documentary. We need to educate these Raptors.
You youngsters.
Innit? Yeah, you need to watch that. It's
yeah,
amazing.
Choke's like
it's Kron Gracie's dad, Hickson Gracie, who's like jiu-jitsu legend, and it's following him to Vale-Tudo, Japan, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful documentary because it's got him in Brazil. He's on the beach training. He's training at home. Then they go out to Japan, and he's in like those like ice runoff waterfalls, doing all these kind of
breathing and meditation.
It's really cool. It
was the first documentary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Of its time back in the day. Choke and the Smashing Machine and stuff.
Yeah. Day of Zen, Mario Sperry.
Yeah,
that was a good one. But I always enjoyed watching that to see what he did. But at the same time, I knew that it wasn't a realistic day of training, because it was like he had 5 different training sessions he did that week, and he'd put them all on the same day. So
you're not training 5 times.
No, it was ridiculous. Like by the time he got to the end of the day, he's doing boxing and he's just fucking exhausted. I would much rather see it like 2 days of Zen would have been fine. So it would have been more realistic, because I wanted to see how he, a week of Zen, just to see how he did his training. Because especially back in those days, everyone was still kind of making it up. We were still trying to figure out what we were doing. And I used to watch Choke and Day of Zen, and not so much Smashing Machine. That was more outside of the training. Rites of Passage, do you remember that?
Yeah,
that was amazing as well. That was Ensign and Egan in a way. That's something you boys need to watch as well.
So there's some
classic. That's got Shark Tank. Remember the Shark Tank? Was it called Shark Tank? There was a team that used to go over and train at Lions Den. I'm sure they were called Shark Tank, where John Alessio used to train. Yeah, that's a good documentary. That is.
All that like the old day. I mean, like you said, like the Lions Den. I remember reading about how brutal that was.
Yeah.
With Shamrock and what he used to make, like the trial. Used to have a trial to be able to get in before you were allowed to train with the team.
And they would beat the shit out of each other, wouldn't they?
That's how it was done back in the day.
Yeah. Do you remember Competitor Supreme, Dan Gable? Did you ever watch that? I was telling the Raps about that the other day. That's a great documentary. That's about Dan Gable as a coach working with the Hawkeyes, and the stuff he used to put those boys through, and why they were just so crazy. And it's like late 80s, I think it's made. And I would love to see some of these wrestlers now and see what their opinions of themselves, is it in retrospect? Because it's zooming on this guy that's just got this fucking gnarly face, covered in acne, gnarly face, ears twisted up, this awful fucking mullet, terrible mullet, and he's sitting there and he's like, yeah, we're just gonna wrestle him off the mat, we're just gonna be too much for him, we're just gonna put a pace on him that they can't keep up with. And they've got this crazy sociopath mentality towards competition. I wonder if any of them look back I remember looking back at some of my old interviews after, and I'm like, there was so much more closer to being an animal when I was in my 20s. And looking at these kids when they were 17 and 18, and they were hardened from days and days and days of that constant Dan Gable grind on the mat. It's a great documentary, that is, Competitor Supreme.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's synonymous with wrestling as well. That grind, if I'm on the grind, but it is, there's a reason why they are. I still maintain that it's the most physically taxing sport that is. moving another human around in a space he doesn't want to. You know, jiu-jitsu, obviously, of course, it's world class at high level, etc. But if you know what you're doing, you can take a small respite in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You know, because you can stall and hold, and if you're looking for something, it's not always easy. You know, before everybody gets their knickers in a twist. You know, but it's not fought at the pace of wrestling, and anyone who's anyone will agree with that, because wrestling it's a sprint. It is a sprint.
Yeah.
You know, from start to finish, and it's so demanding. It's so taxing.
Yeah.
I remember so many jiu-jitsu guys who used to always complain about wrestling. You know, oh, I don't want to wrestle in there. Fucking get up.
Do you get much training done? You still training
I'm still
much?
training all the time.
On the road though, a lot.
On the road, yeah, I'll train in whatever country I'm in, but I'll still, you know, I'll post pictures of back in Birmingham wrestling a few weeks ago, and obviously I'll be teaching tonight in Birmingham at Hell's Owen. I was at Gracie Baja on Tuesday. I'm always training.
Nice.
For my sins. It's like if I come home and I'm tired, I feel like it's like you owe it to yourself. What about you?
What about me?
Are you training?
I'm training.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing top secret training though.
You back?
I've got the gym in my house, so I'm doing like just working on my strength and conditioning, building up that foundation, that base. But
just easing back into it.
Yeah. Getting a few rounds in here and there.
Because everybody's talking about his damn fighting.
Of course they are.
And I don't know.
People have forgot how shit I used to be.
Oh, don't be silly. I don't know if you've said anything publicly.
Yeah, it's come up a couple of times. Rogan mentioned it, and I mentioned on Rogan's podcast that I was going to be fighting. I've spoken to Jeff Davitsky as well, so things are moving along. But I'm in no mad rush. I want to fight first quarter next year, but I want to make sure that the rest of this year is utilised well, so I'm in good physical condition when next year starts. I feel like if I can match 30% of what I know in my mind with what my body can do, I'm in a much better place than I ever have been before.
It's confirmed. Dan Hardy's going to fight again. Is this confirmed?
Yeah. I've got to get it out of my system, especially if it's just one more.
This is what we said privately. You know, it's like people don't understand from a fighting perspective. It's closure for yourself. It's very personal. You know, the fact that people go, well, why would you want to do that? And because you think in your mind you've got a story half told, or it's not. Yeah. It's unwritten, and you want to close it in your mind.
Yeah. It's like a demon that needs exercising. Especially, like, I always feel like once I've started that path towards a fight, once like, right, I'm fighting, mentally, it just feels like a storm in a bottle. That's what it feels like. It feels like the storm started to build, and then fight's not happening. Stick a cork in that and carry that around until you get the opportunity to take the cork out. That's how it feels, and it's just present. And I feel it all the time when I'm octagon side, and as you probably know, I get to the arenas when I'm commentating early, and I like to get in the octagon and move around and shadow box and just kind of familiarize myself with the space. I've never felt more comfortable in every facet of the UFC, backstage in the dressing rooms, during the walkout, in the octagon, because before I crossed over to commentary, I'd done that 10 times. I had 10 fights in the UFC. Now I've done that. I mean, I do 10 walkouts per event now when I'm there. I'm constantly walking out and rehearsing that. And
you stand up sometimes, don't you?
When I'm commentating, I can't help it. I don't even notice I'm standing up sometimes. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't hold still. I'm always perched right on the edge of my seat. I'm exhausted after the events, because that's something else people don't realise.
Because you're involved mentally.
Always. And every fight gets all my energy. I can't help it. And it's 8 hours.
Same.
It's a long event.
People think refereeing's easy, but the mental aspect as well, especially when you're like in a foreign, I'm not just like Melbourne, for instance, that's a massive fight. It's a pay-per-view, it's a world championship fight, two still rising stars, undisputed belt on the line, champion versus interim. I didn't get into Melbourne till the previous night, Saturday night. Obviously, the fight went out local time. It was it was Sunday afternoon in Melbourne. Obviously, it was prime time in US. So I think the main event walked around about 3:30 p.m.
Okay. Oh, that's not too bad, to be honest. I thought it would be earlier than that.
And of course, I'm there. And it's like the mental, especially when you're doing the main event, you're doing a world championship, you're on the other side of the world, you're tired, etc. We we could be there for several hours before. And people think, yeah, well, so what? You're watching the fight? Fuck you. You're so wrong.
Yeah.
You know, you just said that it's because you do feel that pressure.
Yeah.
And obviously as the day goes on, and you know, obviously when it gets to, as the fights build up to the crescendo and to the main event, it's, you know, but then you kind of get, it's weird because I've like an internal, it's like a, you know, I don't know what it is. I could be the most tired person in the world at that point, but as soon as you're in, that's it. But hey, listen, how good was Buffer?
Buffer?
On the main event.
Oh, he's awesome.
Honest to God. I sent him a message, I said, because, you know, he is part of the show. But that was one of the best, if not the best intros I'd ever seen him deliver. I've watched him for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was sick.
Yeah.
In Melbourne, like it was his introduction to the main event. For me, is one of the best he's ever done. He's good. Man. He's a legend.
Yeah, he is. Good chatting to you, man. Thanks for coming to join us again.
Yeah, try not to make it.
How long has that been?
50 minutes.
That's where you tell us that we've not been recording this whole time. Anything else you wanted to mention before we? Oh, hang on. Oh, Mystery's got questions.
If he said I'm not recording, I would fire this microphone straight across the fucking. Oh yeah, what questions? Did we go live or anybody?
Yeah, no, we did.
Oh.
One person asked what would have happened if Israel did hit Whittaker, even though it was after the bell, and Whittaker would have been essentially knocked out in that moment. If that had happened, what would have happened? I know you skirted on that a little bit, but that bit wasn't.
Skirt?
Skirted.
Did I skirt on it?
A little bit, yeah.
But he didn't hit him. And he wouldn't have hit him. Because this is what I'm saying about, had I have yelled stop and not been and not physically intervened, it would then be the referee's determination to say, is it fair to say, I gave you a command and you ignored it, and the strike not landed after the bell. The strike was, when I throw something, you know yourself, it's, unless there's a serious time lapse, excuse me, it's beyond the realms of possibility in the you know, that hair trigger, that split second, to be able to say that the fighter was in control. If that punch is being launched, it's on its way, you know, and that's the difference of, not when the punch landed after the bell, you would take that decision as was the punch initiated or thrown after the bell. It's a difference.
So if he was knocked out and Israel did hit him, but it was after the bell, but he was knocked out.
Yeah.
In that minute gap, would he have just had to start? He had to gain his consciousness back.
No, hell no. If he was KO'd, it's the fight is over. And that's why I'm saying you'll see in that particular instance. I had it before. It wasn't that long ago, actually. It was in Russia. I had the exact same instance. Kid got struck, bang, right on the button, on the bell. So he's gone down and his corner's running into that. And I'm trying to hold to, because I need to see, you'll see me, I want to see Robert Whittaker make it to the, he was clearly down, but he was not out. He was scrambled. He was significantly hurt. But if I thought for 1 second that he was as in out, as in not moving, you see he gets up pretty sharply, and he is obviously unsteady. He actually walks in the opposite direction. I'm kind of pulling back, and you know, I'd be walking in the opposite direction if I got dropped by that shot too. It was a quality shot, but like I said, if the scenario played out, I would then have to make the assumption or make the decision on the shot was initiated and thrown after the bell or landed after the bell. And that's why, as a referee, your mechanics of stopping the fight are so important. You have to physically intervene.
But that could have been a very different scenario and a very different end to the fight. If you'd have put a different referee in there, a less experienced referee that didn't physically intervene, that did allow that last punch to land, then you've got Whittaker being knocked down on the bell and then Adesanya finishing the fight after the final bell, which would have left that as a controversial fight. There would have been complaints and drama, and that would have had to have been rematched then. Do you know what I mean?
And all credit to Israel as well, because you'll see you'll see it clear as day. The right hand is cocked, and as soon as he stops immediately, you know, and people don't get enough credit for that. Yeah. I actually had it in a weird one. It was the same. when I ref Brave on the way out there was a fight between Tarek Suleiman, a Syrian guy, good guy, and he fought Rustam Chizaev, the Russian Bear. Guys will know him from, he's a wrestler, he's done ADCC as well. Great guy. And I was so super impressed by his composure, because when he took him into some deep water, grappling wise, he's like a shit to a blanket. And he had his back, and when he was throwing it's a very British phrase.
Shit to a blanket.
When he was throwing his shots, he would look at me getting all comfortable. when he threw his shots, he was in super control, and actually thanked him after the fight. I said, look, because stuff like that. And here's the thing, I go back to us talking about referees, and we go, oh, Goddard, he's intervening in the fight. I'm like, I'm fucking so sick of explaining time after time after time. If I talk during the fight, it's because something happened. Otherwise, I'll show you 1,000 fights. What do you want me to do? Send you a fucking highlight video of me not saying anything? Because there's thousands of rounds when I won't say nothing. Make up your mind on what you want, Nobody wants a strict referee, do they? Until your fucking win depends on it. Then you want a strict referee. Then you need a referee who understands what he's doing and understands, the course of what a fight's taking. But that's a perfect example. Chizaev, he's measuring every shot, and I don't have to say a word. And actually thanked him afterwards and said, listen, thank you for your control. It's perfect, because in another instance, I could be barking at you or saying to you, watch the shots, watch where they're landing, but you measured everything. And that's all I ask of fighters. When we were in the back, people obviously, they probably realise there's not a rules meeting per se, but we will go and talk to the fighters individually. And I have the same spiel and speech now that I've had for many years. You'll remember it when I speak to you, I just go over a few things. And again, it's like, because you're in the space, I'm not there to bore a fighter to death. You pick up the body language, and I'm always asking them. I will always begin and end with the same thing. Do you have any questions? Are you happy? I'm waiting for a guy to turn around and go, no, not really.
Yeah.
And then what do? I just say to them, are you happy? Because I will give them a few bullet points, a few pointers of what I'm looking for, what I'll expect, and I'll tell them, listen, guys, if you hear me say something, it's because I have to. I've had fights of the year, 5 rounds, 25 minutes. I don't have to say a word. Fight and stop. That's my utopia. That's what I want. So contrary to popular belief, I don't want to say a single solitary fucking word during the fight.
Yeah.
But that's up to the fighters. A good referee's, intervention in a fight is decided by the fighters. A bad referee's insertion in the fight is decided by him. You'll see refs overly jump and go, don't say nothing, because you don't have to. If there's a foul, again, you can verbalise. You don't always have to verbalise. You can mentally know, because if it didn't have an adverse effect on the fight, I may articulate it, because it will help the broadcast understand what I saw. And it also helps me, kind of exonerates me.
Yeah.
Because I'll say, okay, I saw this. It's funny, because I remember John Anik he actually said, thankfully he actually said at the end of the first round, he went, we didn't hear the bell. Thankfully, Marc Goddard did, or words to those effect. He actually, if you listen back on the broadcast, he'll actually say it. They didn't hear the bell.
Yeah.
But guess what? There was, out of 8 billion people on the planet, there's only one fucking guy whose job it is to hear that bell. And it's mine. And if I didn't hear that bell, or I didn't physically interact, we could have been looking at a whole...
Yeah, a very controversial end to a title fight with two champions.
And it would have been a shame.
It'd have been a mess.
Like I said, credit to Robert as well. His conduct after the fight as well. And Israel's conduct after the fight. The guy's an entertainment package as well.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
What about his post-fight antics and celebration in comparison to MVP's? There's been some chat recently about something that Dan made, and Dan Mogdata apologised for it, I believe. About his reaction towards MVP.
No. Obviously, Dan had stopped the fight to take a point off Michael, because I was laughing because I was like, what happened? And then he actually intimated he was pretending to take a selfie, in there, and obviously Dan had deemed it as
unsportsmanlike
or inappropriate, and he done what he'd done. That's his decision. But obviously it was, it's public knowledge that after the fight he was derogatory towards Michael, and Dan's made his peace and said his thing, and it's been done and dusted. But yeah, if that answers your question.
Do you like the celebrating and stuff? I mean, do you like...
Well, after a fight?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Look, it's after the fight.
Yeah.
Celebrate. So you're asking me the question of, once that fight's over, okay, providing you didn't do anything up until I stopped that fight, how you celebrate, that's none of my business. Mm-hmm. If you want to mark, if you want to do, you want to jump, if you want to strip off, what's it got to do with me? What's it got to do with me? How can you, once the fight is over and nothing's happened, if you stop when I tell you to stop, if you let go when I tell you to let go, we're good. My contract with you is now over. Mm-hmm. If you start fucking about post-fight, then okay, mate, there's been times I've had to get involved and say like if a guy's lying starched out and he's come over and mocked him, that I won't stand for.
Like Masvidal when he knocked out Askren, when he came round and he was in his...
Oh, right, yeah, I mean, that's... obviously, there's a lot of heat on that fight, etc., etc. But it's like, you look back on that, that's not anything. That's like post-fight antics, mm-hmm. At that point. It wasn't endangering anybody, this, that, and the other. I've had guys like do some real stupid shit after fights. Not at the highest levels, but at the lowest levels. I've had to grip them up a few times.
Yeah. Was it Leon Roberts that jumped on a fighter? Was it on one of the London shows? He took his back and sunk a rear naked choking because he wouldn't stop striking.
It was a Fight UK or something because the guy wasn't letting go or he was just trying to intervene.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, actually after the fight, I've actually in the past I've grabbed the fight and said that, listen, you ain't fucking doing that on my watch. You know what I mean? Just have some respect. Because obviously, there's things. There was a thing on Twitter this week. You saw a fighter who was in Russia and the guy had choked him out, but he held on to the choke only for about 4 seconds. But of course, I'm talking on Twitter and everyone's a fucking brain surgeon or he's going to die. Listen, guys, I know it looks bad. He's not going to die.
Yeah.
It takes quite a long time in reality for me to hold on to a choke.
Yeah, Mark's tested it.
Huh?
You've tested it.
I've been choked. We're
recording. We're all good. Yeah.
Sorry?
I'm just checking we're still recording. I get paranoid about the technology.
I've choked and been choked a million times. I know how a choke works.
Yeah.
You see me yesterday. I'm not trying to explain to people, look, guys, I'm not just some thick-ass dickhead ref. I do study martial arts and I do study my job intently, biologically and medically too. I'm not a doctor, but trust me, if you've been choked out with some of the doctors out there at the lower levels, you want me dealing with you, not a doctor.
Yeah. Go on, sorry, Carol.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I posted a clip from a fight you were refereeing the other day, Isidro, my second fight with Alexander Isidro to enter the Rough House. And the clip I'd posted, I'd hit him with a couple of shots, he'd level changed and I stuffed his takedown and we were up against the fence. And I was in my corner because Jimmy's right there coaching me. And the reason I posted it is because I'd realised that I was doing a lot of like grip stripping and hand fighting stuff, which it reminded me a lot of the stuff I was doing in Wing Chun. You know what I mean? When you're stripping grips and you're changing and you're like basically unlocking people's hands. And I was up against the fence and I was doing a lot of like feeding wrists and like hitting him with good shots. And I posted it because it was a nice little series of shots. And then someone come on and posted and they were like that fight should have been stopped and like he was taking too many shots and like why would I post that clip and all kinds of stuff. Like that was the second round. I think he fought into the third or fourth.
Yeah.
That must be because you're
so
always.
How long was the clip?
Oh, it was like 20, 30 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, but the fight should have been stopped.
Apparently, yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, that was a fun fight. That was.
Oh God, you see what I mean? This was heading into a noise, but we're curving round the bend nicely out there. Now you get me inflamed again. What are you doing? Some fucking prat. I can't remember what was saying.
It's like a knife edge, though, isn't it? It's like too late or too early is the knife edge, and you're always standing on that knife edge.
I've got that, mate. This, like we said, we've done that. I feel like I've done that today, and it's kind of like, and like we said, and how dare you come out and offer an explanation afterwards because you want the camera. You know, you have to be careful in there. I don't want the camera. I just want what's right for everybody.
Yeah.
And if it means I'm going to, like I said, get used to it because I ain't going anywhere, you know. And I know it, you know, people who know me, everything I do, trust me, it's for the right reasons. I'm a human being, and I'm capable of making a mistake. And if I do, I'll stand up to that mistake, and perhaps give an explanation or not. Is what it is.
So we'll get another listen soon then, will we?
Well, hopefully it won't be.
We're going to get one with Bob on.
Oh my God.
Gotta do that.
People who
listen here, son.
Yeah, if we get...
All right.
Listen, we should do this because we set out to do this often, and obviously it took a turn and a curve for it. So, you know, that's just the way it went. I think we should be do it more often. Obviously, we're on the road and stuff. But yeah, anyone involved within UK MMA, even further and beyond, you know, when we say Bob, the cut man, like, no, they'll have that reaction. They'll laugh because Bob's one of my best friends, like outside of the game, even outside of MMA. You know, when we live close or in close proximity. But yeah, I'm gonna start something though. I'm gonna do like it's like everybody. Bob's amazing. He's an annoying bastard. Right? When you live with him now, I'm gonna do like a contrary too. Like, you know, I'm gonna say Bob when we travel together. But no, he's one of my best friends, and he's an amazing bloke. And Bob would get you out of a hostage situation.
Yeah,
I think we explained before. You know, he's like, you drop him into like the people who know you're. When we go to the shows, like a room full of Russians, they don't speak a word of English. He certainly don't speak a word of Russian. But I'll go off and I'll come back in. I can just hear laughing. I'll just hear laughing from the room, and I'll open the door and Bob's there and he's wrapping the hands, and he'll look at the guy and he's like, he'll just drop his all right, son. He'll just
son.
It's like a universal thing. It's like this wink can end wars. I'm sure it could. I think it could end wars, and it would get us out. If I'm going to be held hostage somewhere, I need it. Chances are he'll be with me anyway.
That's why you take him with you.
That's why I take him with me. He could get you out of a life and death situation.
Yeah.
Because he just, like I said, you go into like a room full of Russians. They're very, you know,
very stern.
Very stern. They're like looking around and there. But then you open the door and, and they'll suddenly remember Bob, and he's just the guy's magic.
Yeah, we'll have to get him on a show sometime. He's always cracks me up.
If we get him here, mate,
yeah,
that's going to be a bonus.
Yeah,
if we get him on an extra here,
yeah, we'll have to do that.
So there's one more question.
Go on, one more question. Go on?
And it's the question is about Khabib and Poirier, and just basically what it was like to ref that. And your relationship. I know you spoke to me as well in the bar a little bit about your relationship with Khabib and his father, and just that might be some good content.
It's relationship in terms of he's you know, I know I've been around his father a bit when I've travelled through Russia, and his father's always been he doesn't speak much English, if any, but he's always been very kind to me and fair to me because, you know, it's like you earn your stripes. I'll walk into Russia and the cousin, I don't care where I am, who I am, you know, I need to command that respect because they're used to doing things a specific way in Russia. But if I go there, it's like, no, we're going to do it this way, do it that way, etc. And I've kind of earned his respect the hard way, you know, the right way, should I say, over time. And every time I've been around Khabib, he's been nothing but respectful. And likewise, that's actually the first time I've refed him in the UFC. And it's, you know, an entirely professional, platonic relationship, if you like. And it was obviously it was a big fight, a huge fight, because Khabib is a megastar, you know, right now. And it was, you know, but I've done these fights before, the World Championships and Anderson and DC and Cormier, and it's another day at the office for me. It really is. But I don't mean that in a condescend. I mean it in terms of a personal operational point of view and my own protocols. You are who you are. You know, relationships, etc. Everything is, when I'm in there, it's the blank canvas. I do my job and I swing left or swing right. Depends on which way the fight goes. But people like that, I enjoy being around them, and they show me a lot of respect, and I'll double the respect back.
Do you go back and watch the fights that you've refereed?
So, sometimes.
Do you frustrate yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said before, it's like, you know, people talk about critic this, critic that. Trust me, nobody's got a sharper eye on me than me, and I'll go back. But I will kind of I'll self-congratulate. If I do something well, then I'm happy I've done something well, you know. If I do something different, then you know yourself, mate. I've been there. I've done it publicly where no one else necessarily will do it. If I think I've done something that was, and a lot of the time the think I've done something is people's perception, but I'm happy to discuss it. I'm happy to look. I'm a human being, but I'll guarantee you this: when I'm in there, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to give more than what I give. And I'm just talking about myself. I'm just metaphorically. I'm not saying other referees that they give it their all, but metaphorically, when you got me as a ref, you got all of me. You got all of my attention, all of my, like the Israel Adesanya and Kelvin Gastelum fight. Fucking hell. You know, maybe we'll talk about that the next time. People used to say to me quickly, you know, they go, what's the best fight you've ever refed? I couldn't answer them. I can't answer them for 20 years, 15 years a ref. I can't answer it. Now I can.
Now you've got an answer.
That took every single ounce of my experience that fight did. Every single ounce. And that changed me.
Really?
That changed me.
We'll watch that back. We'll have to remember
You watched that fight?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is we'll have to sit and watch it, and you can tell us what you see.
Just the little nuances, but that was entirely magical, that fight for both them guys. Honestly, I can't describe it. Amazing.
Magical. It's not a word I imagine you using much.
Magical.
It was entirely magical. That's how we'll describe this podcast, I think.
It definitely was.
Yeah. That was good, man. Thanks for a conversation.
Thanks.
It's good to have you back over here. Hopefully it's not too long to the next one.
Cool.
I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.